First off, though, we're going to have a few words from the First Minister, Alex Salmond.
Thanks very much, Ian, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hans Ritzman, the Chief Executive of the Exhibition Centre, was reminding me that Nelson Mandela spoke twice here. Once at a Commonwealth head of government conference, and once when he was awarded the freedom of the city of Edinburgh. I met President Mandela once, but I had a close encounter with him once, which was concerned this city, because back in 1990 I was inveigled along with Gavin Strang, MP, and Jim Sillars, to take the Hands Off Hibs petition into Downing Street. And as we arrived in Downing Street, there was hundreds of photographers, camera crews, and I thought to myself, I didn't realise that Hands Off Hibs was such big news. And the press said to me, no, it's nothing to do with Hands Off Hibs, we're just passing the time. Mandela's in Downing Street meeting the Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, and they're running over an hour late. So in a moment of inspiration, I said, Nelson Mandela is supporting the Hands Off Hibs campaign. And as we left Downing Street that day, having handed in the petition, the press were chanting Free Mandela, and suggesting that after 27 years of incarceration in South Africa, he was now trapped in Downing Street by Margaret Thatcher. And the ANC supporters outside the gate were chanting Hands Off Hibs. But there is absolutely no comparison, obviously, between the struggle in South Africa, the racist apartheid regime, and a developed European democracy like Scotland. But there is one lesson that President Mandela surely has given to politicians everywhere and to people everywhere. And that's not just the extent of his achievement, but the grace and the style with which it was carried forward. And if we can remember in this next 9 months that we're going to be judged by the manner and conduct of this debate as well as its substance, then that would be an important lesson for us. I mean, I think the chances of that are very good. I think we should remind ourselves and be proud of the fact that this debate about Scottish self-government in one way or another has been going on for the best part of a century in Scotland. And over that entire period, not a single person has lost their life arguing for or against Scottish independence. I don't think anybody's had a nosebleed arguing for or against Scottish independence. In fact, probably the most danger anybody's going to be in over the next 9 months is if this weighty volume falls on your foot. It might cause an injury. But we should be proud of that. And we should also be proud that we're in a process through the Edinburgh Agreement signed last year, a process of a consented referendum, an agreed process. The Edinburgh Agreement signed by myself and Nicola, along with the Prime Minister and Michael Moore, then Secretary of State for Scotland, is in many sense a remarkable document. It's not unique in the world to have such a process, but it is, to say the least, less than normal. It's unusual rather than usual, and it's hugely important. And the clause 30 of that agreement, the clause which says that both governments will accept the verdict, the result of the referendum, and crucially that both governments, whatever the result, will act in the interests of the people of Scotland and the people of the rest of the United Kingdom, is the outstandingly important clause in that agreement. So as we embark on this debate, let's make sure we have a debate that does ourselves and our country credit. I want therefore to start just a few remarks about the points of agreement between the campaigns, the things that are generally accepted, because there is actually a lot of agreement about Scotland's current prosperity and its future potential. It's agreed between the campaigns that Scotland could be a successful independent nation. It's agreed that Scotland is a country which is rich in natural resources and even more crucially rich in human talent. It's agreed that we have some of the world's best universities, huge expertise in key sectors of the economy, engineering, life sciences, digital media, informatics, tourism, food and drink. These points are agreed. And therefore, the debate that we're having is about choices. the debate about what kind of choices we should make as a country for the future and what particular constitutional framework allows these choices to be made. I was struck by a remark reported in the press at the weekend from Peter Higgs. Not, I suspect, Peter, a great man, but not suspect a natural card-carrying member of the SNP or the national movement. And Peter was musing that he hadn't really been a political thought or a figure. He'd been more interested in his work and the exploration. But if he thought that it was a choice between being independent in the European Union and not independent outside the European Union, then that would sway his mind to a yes vote. And the interesting thing about that is it is an insight into the constitutional trap that Scotland is in and the choices that we are forced to debate and discuss as a society. Now, I don't actually think for a second the Prime Minister intends to take the UK out of the European Union. But he's certainly not in control of events, and he's not in control of that debate, and that is a possible outcome of the next few years. But what is certain is that debate, that in-out debate in the European Union, is going to absorb a huge amount of political time and discussion. Just as, for example, a few weeks back, I was in China, and one of the things we were doing was negotiating for Heriot-Watt University to join the Confucius platform of universities across Scotland, now 5, because the application was accepted. And in the visit, in the midst of the visit, I had to address the fact that 2 of the Chinese government-funded Confucius teachers, Mandarin teachers, active in Scottish schools, had their visas revoked and were being expelled from the country for no apparent reason whatsoever. And therefore, to explain this to our Chinese hosts as we were negotiating an agreement to expand Chinese teaching and expand the Confucius platform across Scotland. Now, there was a happy ending to that particular story. But why on earth should we be in a position in which we're discussing whether people should be expelled from the country? So whether it's the European Union or whether or not we should retain, if we can, some of the fantastic talent we educate in our colleges and universities, the debate that we are facing in Scotland is being distorted by choices being made elsewhere. So the argument for independence, to me, is to see the choices that Scotland wants to make decided on a platform which is relevant to the Scottish people. I'm 58 years old. I can see you all thinking, no, he's much younger. For 2/3 of my life, Scotland has had a government in Westminster which we didn't elect. And what arrives from that is a range not just of policy choices we would not have embarked upon, but also a debate which is debilitating in terms of the energy it saps. Instead of having a debate about the bedroom tax, a ludicrous measure, we should have a debate about how you can make work pay, how you can have a social security system that respects the integrity and the grace of the individual and makes work pay. And therefore, not just the choices that are made, but the debates we have are conflated by the political situation we're in. And finally, the point I would make is this. It has been suggested that the White Paper did 2 things. It sets forward a platform, a constitutional platform, but also goes into policy detail. And I think that was absolutely essential because you can't just describe a constitution in terms of the platform it gives. You have to say what people can do with that constitution. But I want to make it absolutely clear, as the White Paper does, and let me make it clear again, that the policy choices which are elaborated in the White Paper are only one possible menu of choices. Running through like a golden thread in this White Paper is the absolute essential point that the people who decide what choices are made are the Scottish people in an election. That is one potential menu choice of policies that an independent Scotland could pursue. But the whole point, the very essence of Scottish independence, is that the people will get the government they elect, and the policy choices that then follow will be the choices of the people in terms of that election. So, ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to the discussion. The whole Cabinet's here. I'm delighted to say that if the questions that are asked are ones which are relatively simple to deal with, then obviously I'll step forward and take responsibility for these. If they're more challenging, then, well, I've got the entire Cabinet to delegate to. Thank you very much.